does it mean the salt hath lost its savour? I'd like to suggest to you that table salt has lost its savour. It's lost all the other minerals. And what does the Bible say? It's now good for nothing, but to be cast out and trodden underfoot of men. So stop the refined salt. So you can see how the high blood pressure and the diabetes, they sort of lapping over here because the same things affect them all. What else is important is exercise. Specifically, the high-intensity interval training. The high-intensity interval training are intervals of high intensity. So the high intensity, most of the research shows 30 seconds. That's not long. Did you try it today? Most of the research has been done on exercise bikes. Exercise bikes easy, you're holding on if you're a little unstable. If you've got knee, joint, ankle, hip, the exercise bike is a lot easier. We went cycling this afternoon. Such fun. 30 seconds high intensity and then a recovery time of about 90 seconds, and that is usually done for a cycle of 6. That's your ideal. If you can't do that, that's perfectly fine. Just work up to it. If your high intensity is 7 seconds and if your recovery is about 10 minutes, that's perfectly fine. You just start with where you're at. Now what this does, it increases the circulation of the blood to the skin in a mighty way, but not only the skin, to the pancreas. It increases the circulation of the blood to the heart. It actually strengthens that heart muscle. And when you do the exercise, you cause the blood to come out to the extremities, which takes pressure off the heart. And it strengthens the heart. So you cannot conquer high blood pressure unless you exercise. You cannot conquer diabetes unless you exercise. You just got to find out what works well for you. If you can't do the exercise by, the easiest is the rebounder. If your balance isn't good, grab onto a chair, grab onto something. And if you can't bounce, just start with this. Just little tiny jigging. Just start where you're at. If that seems over the top for you, that's all right. You're not there yet. Might be there. It might take you 6 months or a year. You don't have to do that now. But you just start where you're at. I love that piece of information the lady gave us. Walking for half an hour after every meal. Did you get that? Reduces diabetes by 50%. Diabetes is a lifestyle disease. It's not genetics. And it's not the germ. It's actually what you do to your body. Even if you were born with a weakened pancreatic gene, you need never go there. You need never pull the gun. Most people don't realise the dramatic effect these things have on the body. Your cells are reviving and recharging while you sleep. And the hours of power are between 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. unless you're happening to be attending a seminar for a week. So it won't hurt for you to miss half an hour for 1 week. I think it's only, only a couple of weeks, and it'll be 10 and 3 because of daylight saving. These are the hours your batteries recharge. These are the hours that healing intensifies. This is the hours where your brain does a little bit of house cleaning. So conquering anything in your body, no matter what it is, it's important to sleep in those hours, except for this week. So that's where we should be sleeping. Can't sleep, just lie there, have all the lights off, and thank God for all the wonderful things in your life. One lady said, I haven't got any wonderful things. I said, I noticed you've got 2 legs. I met a man with no legs. There's always something to be thankful for. And I'm sure you sleep in a comfortable bed every night. You're not out in a ditch and it's pouring rain and a car just ran over you. You know, there's always something to be thankful for, isn't there? My friend's got an orphanage in Africa. When we visited a few years ago, I said to the kids, do you like it here? They said, yeah, we've got a bed. A bed. They haven't got a pillow, they've got a bed. They're so happy. Are you happy that you've got a bed? It's all relative, isn't it? There's one thing that will stop you sleeping. Two things, actually. Blue light, screens. Don't allow yourself to touch them in those hours. You've got study to do. We'll do it at 3 a.m. And the other thing is getting annoyed. If you get annoyed with the fact that you cannot sleep, you will not sleep. That's why you've got to lie there and have the attitude of gratitude. Thank you, Father in heaven, that I cannot sleep. Now, Seddon Church have graciously allowed me to speak on Saturday morning. And at 9:30, I think it is, on Saturday morning, I'm going to show you how you can rewire your brain. I'm going to show you how your brain can get younger as you get older. Doesn't that sound good? So you can rewire it. But doesn't cholesterol cause heart disease? Do you know there's no proof? No proof? No proof that saturated fat and cholesterol cause heart disease. If you find it, please email me. You see, the liver makes cholesterol, and the liver makes cholesterol according to the body's demands. In fact, Dr. Malcolm Kendrick, he's a cardiologist, he wrote a book called The Great Cholesterol Con. He's scathing in that book on this so-called theory. It's a myth that saturated fat and cholesterol cause heart disease. There's no proof. In fact, Ansel Keys in 1953 first put forth the theory. And in his own words, he said, we're pretty sure the research will come. Well, it's 2018 and it still hasn't come. So what did they do to get heart disease to reduce? Stop the fat. Has it helped? No. Stop the butter and eat margarine. Has that reduced heart disease? No. I know, put everyone, as many as possible, on cholesterol-lowering medication. Has that stopped heart disease? No. It's still the number one killer. Your brain loves fat, it loves cholesterol, and the fattiest and highest cholesterol food on the planet is breast milk. Are they going to ban that? And a baby's having heart attacks? The baby must have that, otherwise the brain won't develop properly. Your liver makes cholesterol according to the needs. And in my next lecture, when I talk about the liver, I'm going to explore that more detail. I'll have more time in my next lecture. I've made some fairly wild statements there, but I'm going to give you a lot of proof in my next lecture. I'm going to use science, I'm going to use common sense, and I'm going to use history. They're the three things that we can rely on. Because you've probably seen on the internet, you can find research to support anything, is that right? But you can't argue with history, you can't, hopefully, argue with common sense, and you've got basic science, and that's what I've shown you here, is the basic science. So let me tell you about Bobby Lieberman. He was a man in his 60s who came to our health retreat in Alabama. He said, I've spent $1 million on my health in the last 10 years. Not hard to do in America. He came to us, he was a little overweight and he was in a wheelchair. You see, recently the doctors had cut out some lymph nodes in his groin to try and find out why he had diabetes. I don't understand that. But because he'd flown to us, his legs were all swollen. He was in a wheelchair. He just spent a lot of money on expensive bandages. He was on medication for blood pressure. He was on medication for diabetes, 90 units of insulin a day, short and long acting. He was on cholesterol lowering medication. He was on blood thinning medication. So when he came to us, he said, anything you say, I will do. So I said, you won't need the bandages. And I got him to walk barefoot on the grass every morning, wonderful exercise for the feet. I got him to get on the rebounder for 1 minute every hour. It's the best lymphatic cleanser and mover, and that swollen legs were lymphatic fluid. He started to eat a very low carbohydrate diet. So what did he eat? Number 5 and 6. He ate high fibre. Where's your high fibre? All your plant foods are very high in fibre, particularly the vegetables. Generous amounts of protein. So every meal he had some legumes, he had some nuts, and he had some seeds. And he had healthy fats. What are healthy fats? They're fats as they came from the hand of the Creator. So there's your nuts and your seeds, and the 2 oils that are extracted from the flesh of the plant is your olive oil and your coconut oil. They're concentrated foods. You don't need much. Had a little bit with his meal. And basically all the food he was eating was low GI foods. So instead of potato, he'd have sweet potato. Instead of banana, he'd have cherries, grapefruit. He was very excited because he didn't use his bandages all week. He was starting to walk more and more. He was with us for 2 weeks. And at the end of the 2 weeks, he was on 10 units of insulin instead of 90. Just incredible. He emailed me 3 months later. He said, I'm off all my medication. All. He'd been diagnosed type 1 diabetes. He said, I'm off all my medication. He said, I'm eating a very low carbohydrate diet. He said, I eat a little. I'll have a little rice. I'll have a little millet. I have legumes every day. He said, I have breakfast like a king, lunch like a queen, and I don't eat at night. Did you hear that? He's a diabetic and he's eating 2 meals a day. And what do they tell you to eat? You'll see tomorrow night that the stomach likes to eat and then have a break. It doesn't like to eat all day long. He said, I am swimming 30 laps a day, 62. He said, I am cycling 6 miles a day, and I rebound for about 3 times, for a few minutes 3 times a day. I'm drinking 2 litres of water a day. He said, my doctors are astonished. Spent $1 million in the last 10 years. Incredible. He conquered his high blood pressure. He conquered his diabetes. Just with these simple lifestyle changes. What an amazing body we live in. It can heal us if we give it the right conditions. So at 3 months, when he'd emailed me, he said, I've lost 20 kilos in weight. He said, it's like I'm not even on a diet. He said, I'm eating so well, I'm never hungry. As you'll see tomorrow night, these 3 foods keep the food in the stomach longer. Your fibre, your protein and your fats. I'm going to give